bin.
Where did you dig up that old fossil?
Going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
That's no move.
We're all fine here now, thank you. How are you?
Welcome to the Star Wars Nerds Podcast. I'm Dan Vadabonker.
And I'm Kenton Larson.
And the day is finally here, October 30th. It's the day of The Mandalorian, Season 2, Episode 1. Actually, they're just calling it Episode 9. So I guess they're just continuing the numbers of episodes throughout the series. I don't know. It seems
One
weird,
long
but
story.
whatever. What's that?
One long story.
Yes, of course. So, and we both watched it. I normally wouldn't have watched it during the day, to be honest. If I'm going to be like, I probably would have watched it after work tonight or something like that. But we wanted to record the podcast and get it up in a timely fashion. So that's why I took some time out of my day, my lunch hour, and watched it. When did you watch it? First thing this morning?
Early in the morning, and of course. And I don't necessarily want to watch it early in the morning every time. I think I did last time, but I ended up always rewatching it in the evening where I could really enjoy it. So I sort of have that feeling. It's like that feeling when you don't get good sleep before a Star Wars movie, and you're just like, I just want to see it already. And then you watch it and you're like, and it was almost a blur. It goes by so fast. So I have a bit of that going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, I just finished watching it like just a few minutes ago, so it's still pretty fresh in my mind. But I'm sure there are things that I missed that I can rewatch and pick up the second time around or third time around. So let's start with some non-spoilery thoughts on what we thought of the first episode of season 2, and then of course we'll give a bit of a spoiler warning in case you guys haven't watched it yet. And go, I mean, obviously go watch it. That we're going to recommend. It's good. Right? I think overall we're both happy with how it was. Okay.
Yeah.
It's good. Watch it and then come back and listen to the conversation after you've watched it for the spoiler-filled conversation. So what do you think? Initial thoughts, spoiler-free. Well,
it's a momentous day in Star Wars fandom is all I'll say if we're talking about spoiler-free. I'll leave it at that, and I'll say it's... So for that reason, this day will go down in history as something, and it will also... And it's so weird because this second season, actually, we waited a long time, but it seems so fast. And so watching it again today, I just picked up right where it left off, and it didn't even seem like there had been that much of a gap, to tell you the truth. So I really enjoyed what I saw. As usual, I am blown away by the production standards in there. There might have been one or two things that if I was a real ogre, that I would nitpick about.
Oh, I've got a couple things.
Yeah, well,
I don't care.
If I was an ogre, I would nitpick a few things.
You are an ogre. We are both ogres in this
to
case.
me, the
critics.
general sweep of this is yes, please, and I'll take more. How about you?
Yeah. I mean, it's same as the first season. It feels like a Star Wars movie. It feels like we're watching another continuation of a Star Wars film, and it's a lot of fun. Lots of unexpected twist. It did remind me of, because this is a Tatooine-centric episode, there's a lot of things to love here because there's a lot of familiarity with from the original film. Mm-hmm. A lot of things from the original film, from Tatooine, that we've known for many years.
Is that itself a spoiler, by the way?
I don't think so. That's there. I mean, that's something that we knew from the trailer that he was going to go to Tatooine, so it ends up being in the first episode.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a spoiler so much. And yeah, like I do enjoy it. I think you're right about the. I didn't rewatch it. I did end up rewatching the first season. I hadn't had time, but it recapped it really quickly, and I was like, okay, yeah, I remember where we're at. Like it's not a complicated story. That's what I like about it. It's very simple. He's just trying to get the child back to his people, and now that wasn't. The first season was all about him just protecting the child. Now he's actually got a mission to bring the child back to wherever he came from, and he's trying to do that through kind of a network of Mandalorians or whatever, I guess is the idea, right? So very, very cool stuff.
They say as much in the trailer.
Yep.
And the beginning of this episode is all trailer. It's trailer heavy.
Yeah, and that's another thing. So I guess we'll get into the spoilers. I don't have anything else to say that's not spoiler filled.
Let me just think for a second. Do I have any more non-spoiler things that I can say? Oh, yes, I do.
Okay.
I'm going to say I was very... Oh, no, wait a sec. Is this a spoiler? Yeah, it probably is. Forget. I have no confidence in myself to say something. Like, if I would have said Tatooine, I'd be beating myself up right now. So let's just warn people.
All right.
And just watch the damn thing already. And and if you don't watch it soon, the internet will wreck it for you because it's all trending.
Yeah, and then it's going to be, and I feel like it's going to be the same as it was last year, where there's going to be a conversation about it every week as it's dropping. They're going to be successful where The Boys was not. The Boys did not really successfully do that when they released it once per week. Whereas this show, we're used to it being once per week, so there's no change for us. And so every week we're going to be talking about this on Fridays.
Yeah.
As the story opens, as he walks into the boxing match, or not boxing match, so to speak. It's a battle. It was weird. It was not what I thought it was going to be based on the trailer. So we have these two Gamorreans fighting each other in a ring that looks very much like a boxing ring or a wrestling ring.
Before we even get there, though, did you look at the graffiti?
I love the graffiti. I thought that was so cool.
C-3PO is in there.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw three.
And I think it's a stormtrooper and not R2-D2, but I did not pause it. I just let it go by.
Okay. Yeah, I think that, again, these are the little details that we love about this show.
Yeah.
It tells us, like just graffiti on the walls of a, and that's not on Tatooine. I don't know where that is, where he goes to that.
Did they say?
I don't think so. They may say it said at the end of last season, but anyway, like it's on a different planet. But there's this there's this graffiti kind of telling the story of Star Wars, and it's cool. It's cool to see like street art and what people would have vandalized property with. I guess vandalism in the Star Wars universe. I loved it. I thought it was great art direction and great, and it looked awesome.
I kept wondering if that was a known artist that they got to do it.
Yeah, I wonder.
It must be.
Yeah.
Maybe it's even in the credits.
Probably. The people are like just, I mean, as we learned, there's a cameo in this episode. I'm sure we're going to get that in every episode. Some famous person who wants to be in a Star Wars thing wearing a lot of makeup, which is what we got in this one.
Yeah.
So then he goes into this match, this fight between two Gamorreans, and he's meeting up with this one-eyed guy, the Cyclops man. I don't know his name. To get some information because he wants to know where the other Mandalorians are. That's his whole thing now. He's looking for other Mandalorians who can help him find the planet that Baby Yoda is from, which is kind of a weird way of going about it, but I guess he has no other choice. I don't know. Like, why can't he just go find Luke, right? Why wouldn't Luke be able to help him in this case?
Well, he doesn't know.
I guess he doesn't know. He doesn't know anything about the Jedi. Right. He doesn't know anything about Yoda or Luke or anything. Surprisingly, I think that's a bit surprising to me, but whatever. So then he goes in there and tries to cut a deal and is quickly betrayed, which happens pretty much every episode in this series. He makes a deal with somebody in good faith and then gets betrayed. And then he kicks everyone's ass. That's a great scene.
Good fight.
Oh yeah, like just great. Like in the first 5 minutes, we have a great fight with him and a bunch of people, and then he tracks down that one-eyed guy and gets the information from him. It's Tatooine. He has to go back to Tatooine.
The one-eyed guy is who is that again?
Was that John Leguizamo?
I think so.
Okay, that's. I wasn't sure if it was him or if it was the bartender that was him.
Oh, geez, I think it's one-eyed guy.
Yeah, you're right, because it says at the very end it said in order of appearance, like the actors, and the second person to appear was John Leguizamo, which would be the one-eyed guy, not the bartender in Tatooine. So I wonder who played the bartender then, because that guy was good too.
That was Weequay from Return of the Jedi.
Was
Weequay. Yeah, he calls him Weequay.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize it was the same guy.
Yeah. Sorry, we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah.
Please keep going.
So then he finds out that this guy tells him there's a Mandalorian on Tatooine. He's like, okay, let's go back to Tatooine. And we see Amy Sedaris and her awesome little pit bots goofing around, little slapstick humor reminiscent of the prequels there with those little guys.
Well, and this is what I was going to say in the non-spoiler, was that I was so delighted to see Amy Sedaris' character again. And she's basically playing Ripley, like a low-rent Ripley, is who they have her dressed up as. And I like the, if you ever want to get rid of this little guy, I'll buy him off you or whatever. She's like, just kidding, but not really. Mm-hmm. Like, that's great. I love that stuff.
Yeah, she's a fun character.
And I like how she's like, absolutely, there's not going to be any fight with her and the Mando whatsoever. Like, it's just a nice... He accepts her for her goofiness, and she accepts him.
He accepts the droids, though, too, which is different. Probably because of experience with the IG droid there and in the last season. So now he doesn't hate droids as much as he used to. And then he goes off to find, he borrows her speeder bike and goes off to, what was it, Moss? What was it called?
Oh, that was a weird one.
Moss, I don't remember the name of it.
Moss,
it was,
Moss something. It starts with a P, I think?
Yeah, it's a different,
Never heard it before.
Yeah, it was clearly, they said, oh, it's not on the map, it's not anywhere, but it's this town, this mining town out in the middle of nowhere on Tatooine. So there's Moss, I mean, they show Moss Eisley, Moss Espa is another town, and this one's Moss something or other that we can't remember.
Yeah.
So he heads out that way. Lots of great shots of him on the speeder bike, going out there. And then he arrives and quickly finds out, that's where we see the bartender, and we quickly find out that the guy he's looking for is the Marshal. And I think that's the title of this episode, isn't it? The Marshal?
Yeah, and not only is he the Marshal, but we read about him, you and I did, in the only Star Wars novel that we have read in the last 15 years or whatever, more or less. And I guess I also read Force Awakens. But in Star Wars Aftermath, that's Cobb.
Did they mention him?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. I know they refer to the armor, but I didn't know if they mentioned him.
Yeah, they do.
And of course, the reveal here is that he's wearing Boba Fett's armor, and it looks awful on him. I gotta say, he looks so stupid with that on.
Skinny Boba.
He's like, come on, man, it doesn't even fit him. It's like, come on. And he's just he doesn't
that's
have
part of the fun.
What's that?
Part of the fun. I just love that.
Yeah, he doesn't have the pants of it. He's just got like the chest plate, the backpack, and the helmet, and maybe the gloves. I think the gloves as well. And that's pretty much it. So he doesn't have the full set of armor, and he's the marshal of that town. Basically, he's protecting it from bandits, from sand people, from, as it turns out, other monsters in the Tatooine desert. A crate dragon.
How excited were you to see the armor, by the way?
I was pretty excited, but then it was quickly like, oh, it looks dumb on him.
Yeah, and I kind of like that. I sort of like that they didn't make us wait to see it. It's like right there. Boom, it's right there. He's skinny Boba, so you know it's not him. They took a lot of effort to make sure we saw the armor and saw that it is some other guy. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because I thought that could take a whole freaking season.
Well, not only that, but they also added the sound, like that sound of the spurs. It's not spurs, whatever it is. That sound was also there. So we know that was him following him around back in the last season when we saw that tease of it, right? So that is him. And my initial thought was, wow, it's cool. It's Boba Fett's armor. It's very like, obviously it's supposed to be like acid burned or something. There's kind of some kind of corrosion on it. So it's come out of the Sarlacc pit, and then he quickly like sits down and takes the helmet off, which again, I don't know what's going through Mando's mind at that moment where he sees the armor and he's like, something's not right here. And he's like, okay, I'll sit down and have a drink. And then he sees him take the helmet off and he's like, whoa, what's going on here? Like, we don't take our helmets off. What are you doing? And then the guy right away just says, oh, I've heard of Mandalorians. And he's like, basically admits he's not one. He's just wearing the armor. Right.
That's good.
Yeah. And it's all stuff.
And also when he takes it off, you're right. That's a great moment where he just takes off the helmet and Mandalorian looks at him like, what kind of a poser are you? Like,
great haircut too. Timothy Oliphant has a great haircut.
That's a nice haircut. I'm with you. Or hairpiece, I was thinking. Is that a hairpiece? No, I think it might be.
He's not bald. Is he bald?
I don't know. That front part?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Well, okay, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought I could smell a hairpiece there, and I'm a guy with no hair, so maybe I know?
I'll take your word for it. Sure. So anyway, and then they're about to shoot each other. There's a cool and again the Western feel continues through this season.
Yeah.
It's a great Western kind of vibe throughout. So they're about to kill each other. They're about to draw on each other, and there's a big rumble and a big shaking. And it turns out it's a crate dragon, which is essentially the same thing as a sandworm. From Dune or the things from the Graboids from Tremors. It's kind of the same thing. Basically, it goes under the sand and then kills things, which is not why I pictured a crate dragon being. I know it's something we've known about for a long time. We've never seen one. I think we saw a skeleton of one, didn't we, in the first movie?
We sure did.
I think there's a skeleton.
Good call. I forgot about that. Yeah. Good call. Yeah, the skeleton that C-3PO walks by.
Yeah, that's supposed to be a crate dragon. But they say dragon, and I assume it's like a dragon with wings. That's kind of what I always pictured in my mind, and we just didn't see that part of the skeleton, right? So I guess they've always had it planned that it would be like a big worm like that. Maybe not. I don't know. But it was very, very cool to see it in person. Like that whole later on when they reveal what it looks like and everything. I mean, this is great creature design, and it's so much fun to have them fighting this creature. So anyway, this is a creature that it's kind of like the same thing as Tremors, where this thing is like terrorizing the town and eating all their livestock and eating all the banthas. And basically, like, just kind of, I don't know why it wouldn't just swallow up the whole town. Like, what's it waiting for? The thing is huge. So then they strike a deal where Mando helps them kill the Krayt Dragon, and he'll give him the armor back. So, oh yeah, we skipped over that part. Mando wants the armor. He wants Boba Fett's armor because it's like, insulting to have somebody. It's sacred. Yeah, somebody. It has to be returned to Boba Fett's ancestors or whatever, right? Or his family. Return to Mandalorian, or whatever. I don't know how it works.
Over the course of this episode, that horrible creature brings a lot of people who are enemies together.
Yeah.
And the ultimate impact of that creature is that, well, we would have had a fight between the two main characters that would have ended badly, probably for the sheriff. And we would never, and then you're about to talk about the Sand People and how they sort of play a role in here, and the idea that they are sort of at war with the humans. Although I guess we don't call them humans. I don't know what we call them. Humanoids,
people.
Whatever.
I don't know.
They're at war with people, and this creature brings them together at the same time. So this is about overcoming differences by finding a common enemy, I guess. Yeah.
Yep, for sure. And it's interesting that it had to, like, it's all kind of like, I guess before Mando shows up, they don't have a way to communicate with the Sand People. Like, clearly Mando can communicate with them. We see him having like sharing a fire with them in the kind of montage where he's making his way up to the town. He stops and has a meeting with some Tusken Raiders by the fire. They talk and they have their little hand signals and their way of talking. So that's kind of a cool thing. We get to see a little more into the life of the Tusken Raiders, which we've never really seen other than, Anakin slaughtering them in the prequels.
Did you notice something? So in their little speeder bike chat, well, first of all, they have that great speeder bike chat with the flashbacks.
And I don't, again, we're gonna ignore how it's possible for him to talk to him like that while they're racing along at hundreds of miles an hour on a speeder bike. Like, the wind would make that impossible to hear.
It'd be hard to do.
Maybe they have some kind of force field around it. Anyway,
I also like the he goes, the second Death Star, mind you, or whatever, like how they throw that in there as a joke.
Yeah.
And then you get to see the citizens of Tatooine celebrating the second Death Star, and then instantaneously more bad guys show up and go, whoa, the Empire's gone. Well, then we'll just take over.
Yes,
the miners or whatever.
Yeah.
Just come walking in. But I kind of like that. I like the whole throwback to where the Death Star has exploded. That was about 5 years before, I think. Did they say that?
I don't think they've actually established the time frame, but I think it is around 5 years.
Okay.
And then he tells the story from there how he got away from the town. He was picked up by Jawas. He had managed to get away with some crystals, some valuable crystals or something like that. And so he trades that for the armor from the Jawas, and that's how he gets his armor. And then that armor gives him the courage to go back and fight to fight the guys, I guess.
Which he does.
Which he does, yeah. He blows them all up with the rocket on his back.
And it's a great scene in the Jawa sandcrawler. Love that. And
they're offering all their nice droids and everything. Hey, have this. Hey, have this. He's like, no.
They offered him the finest wares that they had, and but there was only one thing that appealed to him that they had.
He wanted that armor, yeah.
That was the armor, the Mandalorian armor.
So yeah, that was a cool. Yeah, you're right. That was a cool little aside. And the other thing, I don't know if you noticed this, but his speeder bike, the Marshall speeder bike. Do you notice this?
Yes, I did.
It looks like half of Anakin's pod racer.
I think it is.
You think that's like one of the engines from Anakin's pod racer?
I do think it is. I think if we match it up, I haven't done that yet. But of course, like, the first thing you think when you see it is like, that's Anakin's pod racer. But then the closer you look, you're like, no, it's not the whole pod racer. It's the engine.
It's just one of the engines. So, I mean, I don't know if it's meant to be the same one as Anakin's. This is like 40 years later or something like that since that one was operating. It could be just the same model that Anakin had. I don't know how these things work. I don't know if all these pod racers were custom built. I feel like maybe they were. I mean,
they all look different.
Didn't Anakin talk about building his own pod racer?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so maybe it is. Maybe it is just one of the
Yeah.
engines from Anakin's pod racer, just meant to be there as a kind of an Easter egg. But I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be the same thing.
I think it is. When I saw it, I thought, that's so wizard, Annie. I thought to myself when I saw it. So it must be because it brought me right back to that moment. That's so wizard.
Okay, so then they have to work together, right? That's kind of the cool part about this episode is that the townsfolk have to work with the Tusken Raiders to lay the trap for the Krayt Dragon, which is living in an abandoned Sarlacc pit. And I love the line, there's no such thing as an abandoned Sarlacc pit, and Mando says there is if you killed the Sarlacc.
Yeah, or if you eat it or kill it. I can't remember.
I don't remember, but
Eat
he's
it, I
like,
think
yeah,
he
eat it, yeah. So that's just because it shows you the power of this dragon, of this creature. And then they come up with their plan to blow it up real good, which of course fails, and they have to improvise. And again, some great special effects, great scene. I mean, all of that whole sequence was amazing.
Also, was it,
when they're fighting
when
it.
he looks down, he goes, "Is that to scale?" The little model, and they go, "Yeah, no, actually, it is to scale." Or whatever. That's funny stuff.
Yeah. There's lots of great jokes.
Yeah. There's good stuff.
Yeah, and then I don't know if we need to go through every single detail.
Well, no. I mean, there's a big battle. If I have, let's be an ogre for a second. If I'm a total ogre, I'll say, well, this is kind of like the episode we saw where he protected the village and had to kill a monster to protect the village. And to get a reward that he then could use to trade for something else.
Yeah, I think they're combining two ideas from other episodes. Like he protected the village from the walker, right? That was that episode.
Right.
And then he killed the other creature, the horn thing, Mudhorn. He killed that to get the egg for the Jawas. And there appeared to be an egg in this thing too. I don't know what that was, but they're pretty excited to find it.
A pearl
or something. They were pretty like, wow, look at this thing. They're pretty thrilled, the sand people, as they were chopping it up for meat.
There's a lot of meat.
I love how Mando gets a big chunk of meat too at the end. He's like, yeah, there we go.
Baby Yoda's leaning on it.
You're set.
That was my favorite Baby Yoda moment right there.
Yeah, there are lots of great Baby Yoda moments as well in this episode. Like he's always kind of there and just kind of, I don't want to say he's mugging for the camera, but he's kind of like, he's always got some kind of funny expression or some kind of interesting thing happening.
I thought they could really have gone overboard with Baby Yoda reactions and moments, and I thought they were actually pretty light on them.
Yeah, that's right.
I thought it could be just the Baby Yoda show, like jump into the deep end and just give them Baby Yoda all the time, but they did not. They were very restrained, I thought, as far as those things go.
Yeah, I agree. So, and then the other thing, and so if I want to be an ogre, I could point out two mistakes that I caught, and these are continuity errors. One of them is at one point, as they're approaching the cave where this creature is, and there's a Tusken Raider. Now, the first time they do it was funny. The first time they do it, they go up with a bantha, and they kind of peg it in place, kind of like the goat in Jurassic Park, where they're leaving it out there as bait. But then the guy yells. Then the guy goes, his sand person yell. That wakes up the creature, and he comes out and he kills the sand person and leaves the bantha.
That's funny shit.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And so that was the first time. The second time they go out there to I guess to see if it's still sleeping. This one sand person goes out by himself, and he lays down on the ground to listen. And I don't know if you noticed, but he puts his gun down, flat down on the ground. And then the very next shot, they cut to a shot of him holding the gun up. So that's a continuity error. That is like, we forgot where his gun was when we were shooting this. The other thing is, I have to rewind this to be sure, but I can't be sure. So they spend all this time burying all these bombs, and they don't even bury all of them, as it turns out, which is weird. So they bury all these bombs in the sand, and then the idea is they're going to bring this thing out, and then as it goes over top of the bombs, they're going to blow it up, which they do, and then it doesn't work. But I could have sworn there was a shot there after they bury the bombs. There's a shot of that whole front of the cave immaculate. Like there was no sign of them burying anything. And then they cut to a different shot, and then you could see where they buried it. So I think there was at least one shot in there that they forgot to like do that part of the set or whatever to make it look like things were buried there. So little nitpicky things like that. There's still. It happens to the best of films. Like there's little continuity errors and that kind of thing.
I noticed one other thing.
What's that?
And that is when Cobb gets off the speeder bike, he appears to trip for a second.
Oh.
I think. I'm pretty sure, but I might be wrong. I could be wrong. I just sort of noticed it out of the corner of my eye.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay. Is his name Cobb? I didn't even catch that.
Cobb Vance, is that his name?
Oh, okay. I didn't catch it.
I don't know. They call him Corn on the as his nickname. His nickname's Corn on the. And then when he shows up, he's like, Cobb, I get it. It's not funny. He's heard that joke 10,000 times.
That's right. Does corn exist in the Star Wars universe?
It must. How else did he get his name? He's a corn farmer, of course. Oh, and here's where I'm being an ogre. I thought that battle went on for some time.
It did go on a little bit long. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, that's it. That's my main complaint, and that's a very minor complaint.
Yeah, but it was still fun. But it was you're right, because he went all the way, like all of a sudden it's coming out of the top of the mountain, and then it's going out of the top of the other mountain, and it can spit acid and melt people, and there's all these things that it could do that we didn't know about. So I get that they wanted to make it a challenge. It couldn't be easy. They had to lose some people along the way, and they did. But in the end, Mando killed it in spectacular fashion, and it's just kind of like he should have just done that to begin with. Where he makes it swallow the one bantha that's got all the bombs on it that I guess the extra bombs, I don't know, that they put on there. He gets it to swallow that thing, and then it triggers it, and then blows it up, and he comes out covered in slime, looking pretty good, other than the fact that he's covered in goo. It was fun.
Yeah, I thought that was good. I also liked when he knocked Timothy Oliphant on the back and made him rocket away without.
Yeah.
Like, just basically went, I'll take care of this. Give him a hit, and away he flew.
Yeah.
Without any ability to make the decision for himself. I enjoyed that quite a bit. And I also, and we missed one other thing that I really enjoyed was we saw the Sand People with their gaffy sticks cleaning the teeth of the bantha.
Yeah, brushing the teeth.
But that's basically a toothbrush?
Yeah, that's right.
Or do they use it for everything? Like, I was trying to figure out.
They probably use it for everything.
That basically they're telling us that they're attacking Luke with a toothbrush in A New Hope.
It's just a multi-tool, right? They use it for and you got to keep those bantha. The plaque kills those banthas. I tell you, you got to keep their teeth clean.
Gotta keep it clean.
How do you suppose Cobb gets the missiles for his missile pack? We see him shoot it twice in this thing.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if it's so difficult to find, and maybe it's like any missile will fit in there. I don't know. We don't know the details, but clearly he has like multiple missiles that he reloads that thing with. And I'm not sure of the mechanics of how that works with the targeting system, because he has to bend over to shoot it. That was kind of weird. So the thing comes down, he's got his little targeting thing on which is cool, like the little thing that sticks up is the targeting sensor. But I would just like say, okay, it goes up and then goes, like it's still, he shouldn't have to bend over.
Oh.
Right? You just like to brace yourself. It goes up and then comes down and hits because if it locks on, right? So I don't know.
It's like a throwback to the action figure. He dropped his pants and he fired a rocket where he's bent over. The action figure's bent over. So I guess the real, if you have the uniform, you got to do what the figure does, which is bend over.
And it's probably how many children imagine Boba Fett, which launches rocket if he were to do that, right? As you're playing with the figure, that's what happens. So.
I'll buy that, but I definitely buy the fact he bends to shoot it. But like you, I definitely thought for a minute about like, sorry, where do you buy these missiles? On Tatooine, how do you get if everybody could buy those, that wouldn't be very good. They'd be going off all the time. Like, what's gun control like on Tatooine? Like, what's happening there? Who's in charge?
I don't know. It's just a mess.
Yeah.
It's a mess. It's the Wild West out there, literally. What else? Anything else?
He gets the armor.
Oh yes, of course.
And
yes.
Which Timothy Oliphant hands over willingly, and I thought he might not. I thought it might be one of those. Well, you helped me, but I'm keeping this armor, and then he would kill him, but he didn't.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I guess they try to make it clear at the beginning, or whenever they tell that guy's story, like how much the armor helps him, because like it does deflect a blaster shot or whatever of one of the attackers.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure he can do that job without the armor. He doesn't need the armor for that. Like he can just protect that town on his own now.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And then we got the big shot, the money shot at the end there, which is what you're talking about being a historic day in Star Wars.
I can't believe it was in this episode. I can't believe it.
Yeah, well, that's again, like, I was going to say almost everything in this episode, like there were things we knew about this season, and it's almost all revealed in this first episode, right? Yeah. Timothy Oliphant, and then Tamara Morrison. We see him at the end looking, I guess it's Boba Fett. It's supposed to be Boba Fett, is it not?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Boba Fett. He got a haircut. He's got the Kenton Larson haircut, which is no hair, and he also looks like he has been kind of walking around like an Obi-Wan Kenobi guy with weapons, like almost like a samurai warrior walking around. I find it the only thing, and it was amazing. It blew me away, and I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I'm gonna have to watch it again because it was like a thing that we imagined 10 billion times, and to actually see it, I almost couldn't get my mind around it. What did you think when you saw it?
Well, I was surprised, and at first I'm like, "Okay, is this supposed to be Boba Fett, or is this just another clone?" Like, that did run through my mind, but I think it is supposed to be Boba Fett because a clone would be much older. Right. If you think about like the age again, Boba Fett is, he was a kid at the same time as like when in the prequels, and so he's like 40 something or 50 something now, right? He's not super old, whereas a clone trooper would be much older. So there is that, and my question is, because throughout the episode, what I was thinking was, well, there's no way Boba Fett survived the Sarlacc if they just found his armor like that, like, and if we're assuming that Jawas came across the armor somewhere, why would Boba Fett leave it? Like, why would Boba Fett not take his armor with him if it's so important to the Mandalorian culture? Why would he not, even if it's damaged? Why would he not keep it with him? Why would he abandon it? And I guess what I speculate is to happening. So anyway, what I was saying was that, like, I was not expecting it to be him at the end. I thought it was totally like they were going to confirm that yes, he's dead, and if he shows up, it's going to be in a flashback or something. But no, that he is alive, and he clearly took the armor off at some point to possibly to escape the Sarlacc. Like, maybe that's how it happened, right? Maybe that's how he got out of there, by taking the armor off somehow.
But I
don't know.
Okay, so I thought about it logically and kind of thought, okay, are you telling me that Boba Fett didn't go after this panty waist with his armor on, that he didn't go after that guy, that he didn't have the solution to that problem? And I think he must have known about it. He could have found it if he wanted it. And maybe it's a mark of humiliation of some kind. We don't even know if Boba Fett's really an honest to goodness Mandalorian, in terms of, does he follow the law of Mandalore?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, he does seem like a bit, because of the way he grew up. Like, he did not grow up as part of the Mandalorian culture, right? He was raised by his father until his father, Samuel L. Jackson, cut off his head,
right? And
then he looked at his head and then went off and did his own thing. So yeah, we don't know what Boba Fett's all about, really. We know that he's a bounty hunter. He does abide by the code, so to speak. Like, there was a lot of talk in the opening, like, recap about the code. We saw Werner Herzog, and we thought you went by this code, and I think it was pretty clear that Boba Fett does, based on his past actions, right? Like, just this whole thing about getting Han Solo and turning him over to Jabba the Hutt. That's about money. It's about following the bounty hunter code. But well, who knows what's happening now with him, because it's been so long. It could have changed.
I think it's an easier sell if you say he rejected his past when he came out of there, or it was a mark of humiliation, and so now he's living a nomadic lifestyle. And a whole bunch of things went through my mind, like, is he going to go after the Mandalorian now to get his armor back? Is he just going to stay where he is? Is he on a journey? Like, could Samuel L. Jackson still be alive? That crossed my mind. He's a guy who likes to get revenge, that Boba Fett guy. So if that were the case, that could be very interesting in terms of another character who could come back. And how long? And the last one. Will we see a flashback of Boba getting out of the Sarlacc pit? And I think we have to. Like, I thought the flashback that we saw today set the possibility up that we would in fact see that before this season's over. And will we see Boba Fett again this season? I don't know. What do you think? Oh, well,
yes. I think he will confront Mando and ask for the armor back. I think that's what's going to happen. And then we'll see that story being told. I think we'll have Timur Morrison telling the story of how he escaped from that Sarlacc. Maybe it's because the Krayt Dragon ate it. I don't know. Like, we don't know how that possibly could have happened.
That's true.
It did seem like
you're right.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it could be Krayt Dragons eat Sarlaccs all the time. Yeah. I don't know. Right?
And then he crapped it out.
Maybe.
That's it. I think that's pretty good.
Crapped out the armor.
I think that's pretty good. I never thought of that. That's a good. That's a good theory. Boy, we really
I love it.
we talked this out, and then we ended up with crap this out.
That's right. I really enjoy the deep dive into like Tatooine and the kind of all that stuff and all the new details we're getting about this world that we've never had before. That's what I really love about this series. And yeah, I mean, we can make some guesses as to where this is going to go. Like most of what we saw in the trailer, the only thing we haven't seen is the boat trip on the ocean, the person he runs into at the docks. Like they're obviously they're still following the same format as last season, which is like an episode, like a Monster of the Week kind of a thing. I think that's going to be every week he's going to go to a different planet, meet some different people, have an adventure, and then go off in his next. You know, he's like the littlest hobo, goes off to his next adventure.
Yeah.
Adventure. So that is going to be the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we'll see where he goes next, but. A lot. I mean, in true Star Wars fashion, a lot of what was revealed in that trailer or in the first couple trailers was in this episode. Like, they're not giving away too much here. They're not. You know, we still have no idea where this is going.
They would have totally ruined that trailer, I think, to show Timothy Olyphant in the Boba Fett armor. I think that would have spoiled this episode too much. So I think they made good decisions around that. I'd rather see nothing in the trailer. And just go like, whoa, be like today. I was just so blown away by it. Like to me, it completely reminded me of seeing a Star Wars movie on opening day, where you're just pumped up for it, and you go see it, and you're like, oh my god, I was like so excited. I forgot half the stuff. Like I'm gonna need to watch it. Definitely gonna need to watch this one again and look a little more closely at some of those details and stuff. But I thought overall, like it just seems like no time has passed between the finale of season 1 and this one.
Well, in reality, no time has passed for Mando.
Right.
Like he went straight from that, you know, fighting off of. That's the other thing we didn't see was Giancarlo Esposito at all this episode. Right. I wonder if we're gonna wait. I wonder if we're gonna wait until the end of the season to see him again. Like, I don't see him coming back for a lot. He is still the main bad guy, and he does have the Darksaber, which has to be explained at some point. But yeah, we could go a couple episodes before we see him.
We see most stuff through Mando's eyes in the episodes. Like we sort of stick where Mando is. Not always, not 100% of the time, but most of the time. We're kind of like on Mando's team, seeing so we don't see Moff Gideon like scheming on his cruiser or anything. It's not like the Star Wars movies where you sort of get to see both sides doing their thing, and then at the end they come together and have a big fight sort of thing. It's more like it just happens at the spur of the moment, and we just sort of follow the story. But I'm always surprised, like if this is a Western, they could really drag this out. They could really drag it out and just keep us hanging week to week to week to week, like just like Star Wars video games used to do. When they'd be like, no, you're Dash Rendar. You don't get to be anything cool in this game. Get lost, that kind of thing. And I thought what I like about what they're doing with this is that some episodes they just throw the whole kitchen sink at you, and other episodes a little bit slower, and which is great. Like I sort of like the guessing. It's not the same every week. The pacing, and I love that the first episode just threw so much at us, which I was not expecting.
And it was almost an hour long.
Oh yeah, 54 minutes. I thought that we were going to see a lot of Mando walking through nothing in the desert and in a storm. I was like, this is going to be nothing. He's going to leave the baby again with Amy Sedaris. That's what I figured. I was like, he's going to go on some adventure. I never thought that they'd give us Timothy Olyphant in the armor and Boba Fett himself at the end of the episode. Like that was I'm just blown away by that. I loved it. I love that. I love seeing it. And now you remember how I've mercilessly, every time Pablo comes to town, I'm like, so Pablo, what is it? Alive or dead? What is it with that Boba Fett guy? What is it? Alive or dead? And he's like, he's neither alive nor dead. He is frozen in time.
He's Schrodinger's fat.
He's frozen in time within the Sarlacc itself, like, or whatever his answer was. Now he can just go, he's alive. It's made Pablo's life so much easier on Twitter.
Oh, I suspect that Pablo's life is going to get a lot harder with all the other stuff coming out.
Yeah.
What was it again? There's something coming. Another thing about that book he wrote about the Star Wars book. I can't remember what it was now. I saw it in passing. I don't know if I can find it now, but there was another quote unquote reveal about information that of course, everything I look for now is the Mandalorian reviews.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of the reviews?
No, I purposely avoided them. Like, I was Mr. No social media before I watched this. I just shut everything right down, and then I taught 2 classes, and then I came to see you. So I did do something, and that is check Twitter just to see the trends, because I want to know how bad the spoilers are for future weeks. Like, are we playing with fire here? And the answer is, it was the things that were trending were the Mandalorian, I think Jon Favreau, and I don't think there was anything that was trending that would tell you Tamura Morrison or Boba Fett at that moment that I checked. So I think if I would have checked, I would have been okay.
Okay. Right now, just checking on Rotten Tomatoes, this episode has a 96% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. That's a critic score, and the audience score is 90%. So overwhelmingly positive. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so good to have it back, and it's the Star Wars that's getting it done these days. Getting it done. Just filling us with the old Star Wars nostalgia that's at the same time that it sets new ground. It's just a delight. So much of it is so good. And there were Baby Yoda moments, but he was not, they didn't go all Look Who's Talking Part 2. And I was afraid they would. I was already, he speaks! Yeah. And his voice is Gilbert Gottfried. No. I don't think that was Look Who's Talking 2, or was it? What was it?
I think it was Danny DeVito and Look Who's Talking.
Oh, yeah.
Danny DeVito and someone else. I think Roseanne Barr.
Oh, yeah. I think you're right. Yeah, it's Roseanne Barr.
No, that was the one with the pets. That was the one with the talking
Oh,
pets.
God.
Bruce Willis was the voice of the baby in Look Who's Talking and Look Who's Talking.
What was the one, John Ritter, the parent something, or what was it? The Problem Child. Could the child talk in that one? Is that what I'm...
Yeah, because he's a normal kid. It's not a baby. It's like a regular kid.
But do you hear his thoughts? What am I thinking? What movie?
I have no idea. I just saw a video about Problem Child. It was really interesting. Apparently, it's better than we remember. Okay, so I'm looking at here's some audience reviews for The Mandalorian Season 2. One of them gave a 2-star rating.
What?
Plodded along, overproduced and lacks spirit. Whatever.
Give me a break.
That's a troll.
Someone commented. I tweeted. I watched The Mandalorian at 6 a.m. because I didn't want it to be spoiled, and now I got to make sure I don't spoil it. That was my tweet, something like that. And somebody responded, I read reviews, and it sounds at least like it's better than Season 1, like someone who hated Season 1. And I was like, yeah, I didn't do anything. I didn't like it. I didn't say anything. I was like, I'm going to get into it with this guy if you hated Season 1, what are you doing searching for The Mandalorian online? It was no one I know. No one I know.
Okay, that's weird.
Yeah.
Here's a great write-up. This is 4.5 stars. The first episode was great fun. Cobb Vanth, that's the name of the guy.
Vance?
Was an interesting Western-style character. Vanth, as in like Vanth.
Oh, I thought it was Vance CE.
No,
okay.
Vanth. Maybe this person's wrong. I don't know. The ties to the Aftermath novels were a real surprise. I mean, maybe this person didn't know, because we knew about that beforehand. We knew that was coming.
Well, we thought it might be, but it didn't have to come. They could have done anything they wanted with that character, right?
Yeah. And then it says, seeing a scene basically recreated for the books makes reading them feel like an actual payoff. Well, I don't know what scene they're talking about.
Well, in the book, if memory serves me right, it was, there's a sheriff on Tatooine, and some say his Mandalorian armor has acidic marks on it, or something like that. It was written in a flowery way where they were basically saying, hey, it's Boba Fett.
Yeah, but it wasn't. I guess they were teasing us with that.
Or it's Boba Fett's armor, I should say. That's basically what it was saying.
The way the show can unite the fans by tying in the prequels, originals, sequels, and legends cannot be overstated. Can't wait for next week. And I do like that this show does that. It does tie in little elements of everything, right? It kind of unites all of Star Wars. The only thing that we really haven't tied into is the sequel trilogy. But I'm sure that's coming. I'm sure they will do something to look ahead.
I keep thinking, after today, I don't want it to be to turn into what I like about the show is that it's like the little corner of the galaxy, telling a story that happens there. And if we start bringing in too many high rollers here, then it starts to become a little more like, oh, it's just like the chapter movies. Oh, it's just like it starts to become just like everything else. But now that I've said that, now I'm going to go back completely on what I've just said and say, man, wouldn't it be a kick to see Mr. Mark Hamill come and get Baby Yoda? Wouldn't that just be something?
Yeah.
Like, they could do it. They could do it so we don't actually see him. They could do it so he's in his X-Wing fighter. They could do it so we hear his voice and we don't see him. Or they imply that it's him, or whatever. Or they get the Winter Soldier to play Luke Skywalker at that age, and he just is in shadow or something, like Kurtz in Apocalypse Now. There's a million things you could do. So part of me is like, stay out of this. And the other part of me is like, just a cameo wouldn't hurt. A little Luke cameo.
I honestly would not be surprised to see that. I think that it's definitely a possibility.
Could happen
at this point. And I mean, I'm sure Mark Hamill would be up for it. He seems to be doing lots of stuff around Star Wars these days. So, yeah, I mean, it'd be cool. It'd be very cool.
Do you think they flew Tamira Morrison all the way from New Zealand to stand in front of their digital screen so they could do that shot, and then they flew him back? Or or who knows where he lives? I'm guessing he lives there, but what do I know? Or do you think, like, part of me was hoping that he lives on the other side of the world because they wouldn't bring him in for nothing. You know what I mean? Like, they'd give him a bigger role, and I hope he does have a bigger role. That's
what I think happened. I think he does have a bigger role in this.
Yeah.
If we never see him again for the rest of the season, that will be a disappointment.
Do you think he has the Slave 1 still parked at Mos Eisley?
Where would it be? I guess it would be at Mos Eisley, right? Or maybe in Jabba's parking lot. I don't know.
How soon did he crawl out of that pit? That's what we need to know.
Yeah, that's right.
It had to be pretty quick.
I mean, there's a lot of questions that could be answered this way, and I don't think we're going to spend much more time on Tatooine this season. But I mean, think about what would have happened after Jabba died and after his barge exploded. What happened to his palace?
Right.
Who took over? There would have been another hut. They're kind of like the mafia of the Star Wars universe, so there would have been another hut installed there probably to oversee things, oversee Jabba's, stuff that he was working on. So would Boba's ship be at Jabba's palace? I think it would be at Jabba's palace because that's where he was.
That's a good.
So
probably. Do you have the internet open?
I do.
Could you look Weequay, Weequay? I'm quite sure he said, "How's it going, Weequay? Working behind the bar there." Tell me what.
Yeah, it is.
Is it him?
Well, he's a skiff guard. It doesn't say anything about him. I'll do Weequay Mandalorian. Oh yeah, it's already a suggested term here.
Is it there?
Weequay Mandalorian.
So it's the guy who was on the skiff.
It is. Yeah.
So he made it out.
He did. He was on one of the smaller skiffs.
So he would know that that's Boba Fett's armor.
Yes, he would.
But so the name never came up, did it?
Wait. Oh, the Weequay is the name of the race. What?
Oh, it's not the name of the guy?
No.
Oh, so that wouldn't necessarily. That's a member of the race. It is not or the alien species. It is not a. It's not a guy's name.
No, this is from this is an article from 4 days ago, and they say a still from season 2. It just shows the image of him at the bar with the bartender, and he says he is a member of the Weequay alien race, so it doesn't say it's the same person.
Okay, I'm gonna have to pay when I watch it again. I'm gonna pay closer attention to that scene because I could swear he goes, "Hey, Weequay, how's it going?" But maybe.
Well, maybe he's just saying it's like somebody saying, "Hey, human."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, man.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, man. That's the version of Hey, man. Hey, Weequay.
Yeah.
Although they probably shorten it. Hey, Quay. Hey, Quay.
Anyway, it was great.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. I'm excited to watch it again. Excited for the next episode. And what we'll do is, I don't know if we should just go weekly for Star Wars nerds or not, and just do recaps every week, or maybe we come back to it every 2 weeks. What do you think we should do?
Well, it's you know what? Part of me says, well, it depends on the episode. Like, if it's an episode like the one where the Mandalorian protected the village and the Walker came out, you could wait a couple days to do that one. That's not. But when something big happens, like, my God, Boba Fett is standing there. Like, you got to do. It's so ridiculously huge in the Star Wars universe. It's like, no, to put it off is a major problem. So I don't know. Maybe we think about it this week.
All right, we'll see what happens next week.
They're releasing stills in advance of these episodes, it looks like. So if we see something that looks like it's maybe hinting at something big happening, then maybe we should.
Here's the thing. I suspect next week we're going to do Media Nerds and talk about the election. That's
yeah,
be
yeah.
like the main topic next week, and we're going to talk about the election and what we saw on election night. So I'd propose we do that. If it also happens to be an interesting Mandalorian episode, we might do both if we have time.
Yeah.
We could do that.
I will. I'll have
But
time.
it's kind of a busy week for media, for Star Wars and for regular media. So there's a lot to talk about. So I think we just kind of have to see how it goes and play it by ear.
And I swear to God, Donald Trump better not declare war on Canada and start dropping nuclear bombs, because we'll never see the end of The Mandalorian if that
No
happens.
kidding. No, yes, please. No, listen,
Yeah.
I was watching CNN last night, and they were making... Oh, no, actually, I was watching CBC, and they were making it sound like they were worried, like these are people from the government worried that, Trump is going to, not leave office and it's going to cause another civil war in the States. Like, think about all the people down... Anyway, it's a whole other thing. It's pretty messy, but we'll see what happens next week.
One of our colleagues told me on Twitter yesterday that the Mooch, Anthony Scaramucci, the Mooch, says that Trump is too much of a wuss when push comes to shove and he'll go.
Oh, okay.
He says he's like, forget it. He's all talk. But
Could very well be true.
That does not preclude him actually winning. Which is a whole other thing. And who knows, and not leaving, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we might have we might feel the oppression of the man when we watch the next episode of Mandalorian, or we might feel like they did at the end of Return of the Jedi when the Emperor statue, you see it coming down, and everybody's cheering and their fireworks are in the sky,
and all the Ewoks are dancing.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Cool.
right. And the Ewoks, the two different songs the Ewoks sang depending on what version of the movie, that'll be us.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Sounds good. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Until then, that's going to do it for this episode of the Star Wars Nerds. I'm Dan Vadabonker.
I'm Kenton Larson. Don't let the Force hit you on the ass.
We're all fine here now, thank you. How are you?
TK421, you copy?